Let's go more now with parenting expert Dr. Karyn. Thanks for coming in, author of A Guide to Dealing with the Teenage Years. Well, it seemed to work in this case.
Yes.
Good idea?
I actually think it's a very creative idea. So here's a stepmom. She's very concerned. Her stepdaughter is bullying another child. She, is trying to figure out a kind of creative consequence. And what I like about it is that, the traditional thing is a consequence where you actually take something away. What I like about with what she did is she created an experiential lesson to teach empathy. It's actually been associated a little bit with millennials. That's where it kind of got a little bit more of the trend. And I'm actually looking at some of the millennials. Even a lot of the millennials back, they're like, "Yes, Karyn, that's me. We're not.
I don't want to do
I'm
it.
not. I'm not calling. I'm not. Putting my mail in the mailbox. I'm not calling back doctors.
Right.
Somebody backstage was just telling me that they actually didn't even. They had a voicemail that they didn't even want to listen to.
Yeah.
And so it got deleted. All right, so that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. All right, so, but honestly, so even though it's been kind of associated a little bit more with millennials, honestly, I see this right across the board.
So I love data. I love stats. If you hear me speak again, I hope you do, I will always start with research. I love research. Research to me is a wonderful backdrop. It's like there's all this wonderful data. We want to take the data, but now let's get a little bit more practical with it. People leave their manager, not their company. More often than not, we are seeing the quality of the relationship, how connected an employee is with their manager will determine whether or not they stay or whether or not they quit. And we're seeing this even more significantly with the next generation. And so we have to properly equip managers with this skill set to properly, effectively manage. Put your hand up. If you want to be a great in your job, put your hand up nice and high. If we want greatness, we have to get feedback. The only way we step into greatness is when we are willing to receive feedback. So if I was an educator, I would be asking for feedback from my students. So how is he managing? The manager was managing the way he would want. I'm a Generation X. Here's your assignment. Let me know when that's done. Great, thank you. Okay, great. If you're a Generation X, this will be fine. If you're Generation Y, you'll be like, okay, great, thanks. Yeah, that's great. Okay, that's the problem, is that they are used to a lot of feedback. They are used to a lot of feedback, and so it's very important that we are giving the feedback. The fact that they're asking for feedback is fantastic. People get all freaked out about feedback. Feedback is a good thing. They actually say it's one of the fastest ways to build our emotional intelligence is to ask for feedback. No generation is perfect. Every generation has strengths, and every generation have things that they have to work on. And I think this philosophy is very important because a lot of times I kind of cringe when I start hearing people talk about millennials in this very negative context, that somehow everybody else is great, but except for millennials. And I think it's very important that we are entering this conversation with the mindset of respect. What can I learn from each generation, and what can they learn from my generation? So there's a sense of equality. The amount of interest for entrepreneurship, the amount of interest in terms of starting their own business is just going like this for the next generation. Now, here's the thing though, if you talk to Generation Z, they will say it's not necessarily that they want to have their own business, but what they want is they want to have impact. They want to work in an organization where they can have an impact, that they can create change. They can put their imprint on it. They want to be something that's progressive. That's really with what they want, not necessarily whether or not they actually want to start their own business. And that's really important for employers actually to realize.